very good morning. It's just past 8 by the clock. We are back again with another edition of Breakfast News. Over the next 60 minutes, this is your one-stop show for all that matters from the field of politics, business, sports and entertainment. We cut all the noise, get you news as it happens on the ground. So we'll get started, but I'm Anil Thomas and my co-anchor to take you through for the next 60 minutes is Preeti this morning. Preeti,
thank you, Anil, and a warm good morning to all of you. Yes, it's a packed 1 hour ahead. We'll get you updates from the world of business, from the world of sports, national, international updates, and also a web review. Enough to keep you engaged for the next 1 hour. First, we get you the headlines.
In a historic move, Modi government creates new Ministry of Cooperation for realizing the vision of prosperity through cooperation. The new ministry will strengthen cooperative movement in the country. Several ministers laud the move.
Education Minister announces dates of pending editions of the J.E.E Mains exam. The third phase to be conducted from 20th to 25th of July and the fourth from 27th July to 2nd August. Number of exam centers increased to 334.
New infections on the decline in India, but Health Ministry cautions people against crowding in tourist places, markets and not following COVID protocols. Writes a letter to the Himachal Pradesh government over violation of COVID appropriate behavior at hill stations such as Shimla and Manali. Meanwhile, vaccination in India crosses 36 crore mark.
Security forces achieve a big success in Kashmir, utilize one of the oldest and top commanders of Hizbul Mujahideen terror outfit, Mehrazuddin Halwai, in Handwara encounter.
Water levels continue to rise in Gandak, Buri Gandak, Bagmati and other key rivers in North Bihar. Chief Minister Dilipkumars takes review through aerial survey, asks officials to take effective measures for flood relief.
External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Shankars to visit Russia for talks with his counterpart Sergei Lavrov. Discussions to cover a range of bilateral issues including pandemic, besides regional and global issues.
In sports, Italy advanced to Euro 2020 final, defeating Spain 4-2 in a penalty shootout. England to face Denmark in the second semi-final later tonight.
And in Wimbledon, Liskova, Kerber, Sabalenka and world number 1 Ash Barty reached women's semi-final. In the men's singles, Hubert Hooker stunned second seed Daniil Medvedev to face Roger Federer in quarterfinals today.
Well, those were the headlines at the top of this hour. Now for the stories in detail, starting first up with some tragic news that's just trickling in.
Yes, legendary Bollywood actor Dilipkumar passed away today. The actor had been witnessing age-related issues for the last few days and had been admitted to the hospital multiple times. He was admitted to the intensive care unit of Mumbai's Hinduja Hospital a few days back. He was known as the tragedy king of Bollywood, and his career spanned over 6 decades. He has acted in over 65 films in his career and is known for his iconic roles in movies like Devdas in 1955, Naya Daur in 1957, Mughal-e-Azam in 1960, Ganga Jamuna in 1961, Kranti in 1981 and Karma in 1986. He was last seen in Kela in 1998.
Well, the glorious legacy of Dilipkumar in Bollywood. You cannot become a star if you don't have a bit of Dilipkumar in you. That's what the saying was. An actor par excellence, somebody who's got the maximum number of Filmfare Awards for Best Actor. 8 Filmfare Awards that this particular actor had picked. was suffering from age-related issues for a very long time and was in and out of hospitals recently.
Yes, indeed, a shocking, tragic news to begin the morning with. Dilipkumar dies at the age of 98. He was facing health-related issues for the past few days, and the tragedy king of Bollywood passes away today in the morning.
Well, Dilipkumar at 98, too short of a unique century, perhaps the only Hindi movie star to have achieved that particular landmark, not only as an actor, but also as the life that he led, especially many roles or many caps that he wore as a producer, as a director. His popularity, transcended not only in India, not only in the Indian subcontinent, but it radiated across all corners of the world.
Yes, indeed. You're talking of fame, you're talking of how he was known worldwide. Anil, he himself said that if you allow fame to get the better of you, you become a nuisance, a public nuisance, a nuisance as a friend, a member of the family, and a nuisance to yourself. So it is the, the fame that he did not take it to the better of himself, and that led to him being applauded and being respected all across the world through the different genres of films in which he acted.
The tragedy king became a paragon and an institution in a career that began with Jwar Bata in 1944. But a surprising fact about him is that he never wanted to become an actor in the first place. He called himself an accidental actor, born in Peshawar. His father was a fruit merchant, and Dilipkumar was educated in Nasik, but ultimately his family relocated to Bombay, and that's from where he got all his fame and all prominence.
He was born as Muhammad Yusuf Khan, and he came to be known as Dilipkumar, the person, the aura we all are familiar with in the Indian film industry. And he has been known for his work through the Indian films.
Well, a man of culture, tehzeeb, poetry and ultimate sophistication, Dilipkumar is the last of the Mughal with that old school values in Bollywood.
Anil, he was also referred to as the first Khan, and he has been credited for bringing that distinct aura, that distinct method of acting, which we may say, and that was introduced to the Indian cinema by him. And earlier also we've told our viewers about the iconic roles he played, iconic films he acted in, and he holds the record for the most wins for the Filmfare Award for the Best Actor, and was also the inaugural recipient of that award.
Well, exactly. If you look at that first 10 to 15 years of Indian independence, a tribe of male actors ruled Indian cinema. Devanand, Raj Kapoor, Dilipkumar. For many people, in those generations, or our parents' generation, for reasons, you generally cannot understand when you back a star. But Dilipkumar was a colossus, especially, the first true Bollywood superstar, the original King Khan. One way to measure his influence is how he, more than, Devanand and Raj Kapoor, influenced the school of acting, or the subsequent generations of actors that came after that, especially in Bollywood. There is a saying, you cannot become a star if you don't have a bit of Dilipkumar in you.
Yes. Dilipkumar dies at the age of 98. His last big appearance was in the film Killa in 1998. And he had been facing health issues for the past few days. He had been admitted to Hinduja Hospital in Mumbai, and today he breathed his last.
Well, for more on this story, we've got our correspondent, our cinema correspondent, Jyotika, joining us this morning. Jyotika, give us more updates, especially when it comes to this particular tragic news that's just trickling in with regards to the demise of legendary actor Dilipkumar.
Absolutely, Anil. It's a big tragedy to lose our tragedy king, the cinema's tragedy king, Dilipkumar Sahab. Muhammad Yusuf Khan Sahab, and we fondly used to call him Dilipkumar. An Indian actor, film producer, philanthropist, best known for his work in Hindi cinema. And he was also referred as the first Khan and credited for bringing a distinct form of method acting technique to cinema. So a very, very big loss to cinema industry. Although there was a health bulletin which was released few days back, and it was told that he is doing well. But this sudden news of his loss is a very, very big loss to cinema industry. No doubt in that. And we all know that Dilipkumar Sahab holds a very big record of, having winning most wins for the Filmfare Awards in Indian cinema industry. So many actors, so many big stars have become stars, watching Dilip Sahab on screen. He was a guru to many of the stars, and it's very difficult right now, to express in words that what Dilipkumar Sahab was for Indian film industry. We all know he started his career with Jawar Bhata in 1944, which was produced by Bombay Talkies, and then there was never looking back. So it was a career, spanning over 5 decades and 65 films, more than 65 films he has been working in. And if you just, name some of the movies, so the movies, it itself, clearly shows what kind of
showed
actor
his
he
charisma.
was. If we talk about Devdas, if we talk about Mughal-e-Azam, Ganga Jamuna, Ram aur Sham, so the movies, they themselves, talk about the acting, the actor, the character of Dilipkumar Sahab.
Yes, indeed. You're talking of acting prowess, Jyotika. We've all been through those, through that era when a Sunday would mean watching a Dilipkumar film. You're talking of his charisma. You're talking of his on-screen charm. Let us know about what the legend, leaves back when we talk in terms of his method on acting, which we've been talking about. Let us know about some iconic roles which he will be remembered forever when we talk of his contribution towards the Indian cinema.
Absolutely, Preeti. As earlier said, he was referred as the first Khan, and he has been credited for bringing a distinct form of method acting technique to cinema. And method acting, as we all know, the character itself, it connects with the audience, and that's the best part of an actor. He was an established actor, and an established actor means that when he comes on screen without any, jumping in the air and here and there, and he connects with his eyes with the audience, and that technique, that speciality was with Dilipkumar Sahab. His first film, as I said, was Jawar Bhata in 1944, which went unnoticed, but yes, Dilipkumar was noticed. And then after a few more unsuccessful films, it was Jugnu, in which he starred alongside Noor Jahan. That became his first major hit at the box office. And then the Indian cinema got Dilipkumar as a great actor. Then the major hits next, if we talk about, were Shaheed and Mela. In all these films, we know how what kind of an actor Dilipkumar was. He got his breakthrough role in 1949 with Mehboob Khan's, Andaz, in which he starred alongside Raj Kapoor Sahab and Nargis. So, working with such big stars at that time, at that age, in itself explains that his acting was, witnessed, and it was accepted by the audience. It was accepted by the Indian film industry, and people came to know that yes, there is an actor called Dilipkumar, and yes, he has that potential, and which he proved as well.
Okay, also one quick word before I let you go. There is always a saying in Bollywood that you cannot become a star if you don't have a bit of Dilipkumar in you. Right from Dharmender to Amitabh Bachchan, even to today's generation stars, Amir Khan, Govinda, Shah Rukh Khan, all talking about Dilip Saab's influence in their life. Do you feel that, it's been felt in the generations of stars, many generations of stars that came after him?
Absolutely, Anil. As I said, that so many stars, so many actors, they became actors and stars after watching Dilipkumar Sahab. They have learned a lot from Dilipkumar Sahab. If you talk about Dharmendra, you took so many names. Even today, Shah Rukh Khan, many actors, they still, they observe. So in so many interviews, we have heard that actors telling about Dilipkumar Sahab that oh yes, we watched Mughal-e-Azam. If we talk about Devdas, so many times Devdas has been made by various directors, but Devdas done by Dilipkumar Sahab, it gives so much of inspiration to all the actors, to all the young generation. So yes, the actors today still admire him, still, learn from him. He himself was a university. He himself was a guru to many great big actors. He was a great friend to many actors. He was a great elderly, colleague to many actors. He was a, a guide to many actors, and in fact, the new generation as well.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Thank you, Jyotika, so much for joining us with those inputs. Dilipkumar himself had said that I know and live with the real Dilipkumar. He is a simple man, hardworking, who has survived time. And today we see
one particular line, whenever you meet him and you say Dilip Sahab, he says, my professional name is Dilip Sahab, my name is Yunus Khan. And I think that's the big sophistication that he brought to cinema there. Born in Peshawar, famous or brought up in Mumbai, but then famous not only in the subcontinent but across the world, especially when it comes to the first method actor or a method actor that evolved in Bollywood. Well,
yes, Bollywood loses another gem today. Dilipkumar Sahab dies at the age of 98. We'll keep you updated. Let's shift focus to other news we're tracking this hour now.
Okay, let's now shift focus to there's a new ministry that's going to be developed, and this ministry is going to be, it's an historic move in the first place, and a historic move, a separate ministry of cooperation that's been created by the Modi government for realizing the vision of Shankars Samriddhi. This ministry will provide a separate administrative, legal and policy framework for strengthening the cooperative movement in the country. It will help deepen cooperatives as a true people-based movement reaching up to the grassroots. In a country, a cooperative-based economic development model is very relevant, where each member works with a spirit of responsibility. The ministry will work to streamline process for ease of doing business for cooperatives and enable development of multi-state cooperatives. The central government has signaled its deep commitment to community-based developmental partnership. Creation of a separate ministry for cooperation also fulfills the budget announcement made by the finance minister. It is to be noted that promotion of cooperative societies has been mentioned in Article 43B of the Constitution of India. According to it, the state shall endeavour to promote voluntary formation, autonomous functioning, democratic control and professional management of cooperative societies. Well, for more on this story, we've got Arun Sharma, correspondent, joining us this morning. Arun, this particular, center creating a new ministry, what does this mean? Does this mean, opening the window for, ease of doing business or ease of doing better business in India, because especially when it comes to this particular model of cooperation that's been developed?
That's right, Anil. It also means primarily to groom the cooperative model in our country. Now, the cooperative model has always been the soul of our country, specifically in rural India. We have seen cooperative banks. We have seen models like Amul that primarily works on the cooperative model. And we have seen it how the cooperative model in dairy industry or primarily agriculture industry, a sector primarily has played a significant role as far as doubling the income of the stakeholders involved in that particular sector. So yes, cooperative model will ensure that how can ease of doing business can be provided administratively, legally, and of course the policy-wise as well, because this ministry will play a significant role in easing out the work related to administrative, policy level and legal matters of various stakeholders. Okay. Now today we are witnessing all the startups in our country. Various startups. Now the startups are primarily working on the model of the cooperatives only. So in this context, it is very much important that how the cooperatives can be given, a big platform, ease of doing business, so they don't have to, go to various other ministries for ease of doing businesses. And of course, they get better opportunities as well going forward. This cooperative ministry will ensure that how can the income, the rural income primarily be increased. And this will also give a major push to the rural demand as well, because more and more cooperative models in our country will ensure more job creations. It will ensure more entrepreneurs in our market. It will ensure, primarily how can demand in the rural sector specifically can be increased. So in that context, the creation of the cooperation ministry primarily is going to be very much significant.
All right, Arun, thank you so much for joining us with those inputs. Also, the Ministry of Education has announced the exam dates for the third and fourth session of the J.E.E Mains. Union Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank said that the third session will be conducted from July 20th to 25th, while the fourth session of the exams will be held from July 27th to August 2nd. The first session of the exams was conducted in February, while the second session was held in March. This is for the first time that the J.E.E main exams are being held in 4 phases.
आपकी सुरक्षा और भविष्य दोनों को देखते हुए तीसरे चरण की जो परीक्षाएं हैं वो तीसरे चरण की परीक्षाएं अब 20 जुलाई 2021 से 25 जुलाई 2021 तक आयोजित की जा रही है। इसी प्रकार जो चौथा चरण है उस चौथे चरण की भी जो परीक्षाएं हैं वो जो पहले मई के अंतिम सप्ताह में होनी थी अब वो 27 जुलाई 2021 से और 2021 2 अगस्त तक 2 अगस्त 2021 तक वो परीक्षाएं आयोजित की जाएंगी।
Well, as scores of tourists make their way to hill stations in the aftermath of the second wave of COVID-19, the centre has warned that crowding in hill stations and markets without adhering to COVID safety protocols can render the management efforts of the health crisis ineffective. It added that Manali can wait, but virus won't. In a letter to the Himachal Pradesh government, the health ministry stressed that violating COVID protocols will result in an increase in the infections and emphasized the importance of covering faces with masks and maintaining physical distancing. Addressing media persons, Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Love Agarwal, said 80% of cases are being reported from 90 districts, and there is a need to enforce local containment measures to control the surge. He added that states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Odisha are primary contributors to the rising numbers.
हिल स्टेशंस में लोग बिना मास्क के घूम रहे हैं, बिना फिजिकल डिस्टेंसिंग के घूम रहे हैं, बाजारों में बिना फिजिकल डिस्टेंसिंग के घूम रहे हैं। यह ऐसा एक माहौल क्रिएट करेगा जिसमें अब तक जो गेन इन टर्म्स ऑफ मैनेजमेंट ऑफ कोविड जो हमने लिए हैं वह फिर से नलीफाई हो सकते हैं, वह फिर से हम उसको भूल के फिर हमें एक और चैलेंज का सामना करना पड़ सकता है। हमें यह समझने की जरूरत है कि यह कंटिन्यूअस बेसिस पर लड़ने वाली लड़ाई है। वायरस अभी भी हमारे बीच में है, वायरस से हमारी लड़ाई अभी भी चल रही है। आप जो भी कार्य करें वह कोविड अप्रोप्रिएट हो, कोविड सेफ हो, और यही कंटिन्यूड बेसिस पर कम्युनिटी सपोर्ट की हम बात करते हैं।
India's cumulative COVID vaccination drive or the coverage has crossed the landmark of 36 crore. 36.09 crore vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. Out of this, more than 32.4 lakh people were vaccinated in the last 24 hours.
But more on this story, we've got Tapas joining us this morning. Tapas, purely in terms of numbers, 36 crore and counting in terms of vaccination. But, COVID protocols not being followed in many places. We saw that warning that's been issued. How exactly, now, you need to keep some check and balances in place to keep this under check. Is there more pressure now to stop people from coming out, because people seem to be flocking as if there's no tomorrow?
Well, it seems like that way. If you take a close look at the social media post of, you will find that the visuals or the pictures of people thronging popular destination, be it Shimla, Mussoorie, Kufri, or other places in Himachal. It seems that they have let go of the whole COVID appropriate behavior. It was something that was expected, considering the fact that a lot of people were they were staying at their home and inside their safe places. But that is something that AIMS Chief Randeep Guleria, along with Balram Bhargav, ICMR Chief Balram Bhargav, and other people also spoke about the fact that it is imperative that the gains that were made after the lockdown they do not get squandered, or they need to take a hard lessons from the after the first wave and how during that when the initial period of the lockdown unlock period started, when people started going to the markets and started not following the COVID appropriate behavior. What it led to, it was a second wave, and that was a quite a serious one that took place, and that's something that they need to take a cue from. Even now, there are many states where the number of cases are quite high. Although Delhi has seen a remarkable dip in the number of cases, in the last couple of weeks, but even then, one has to keep in mind, as far as the ministry is quite clear. They have already issued, warning guidelines to all the states, especially Himachal, Uttarakhand, where they have made it clear that it's okay that the people are coming to these states, traveling to these states, but they need to follow the COVID behavior protocol. And if that is not happening, the lockdown and other such harsh measures can come back. As per a report, almost 6 to 7 lakh people have so far made it in the last month to the hill area. So the ministry is keeping a close eye, the government is keeping a close eye on that, and the respective state governments have also been warned that a resurgence of cases cannot be ruled out if COVID appropriate.
Yes, indeed, caution is the word here. Yes, the fight against the pandemic is still on, and we as people, as citizens of the country, have to follow our moral responsibility. Tapas, also very quickly, get us a sense of the vaccination drive. We tell our viewers that 36 crore people have already been vaccinated. Very quickly, get us a sense of how the vaccination drive is being further ramped up.
Right. So far, what we have been told is that almost they've touched in fact, have crossed the 36 crore mark, and more than yesterday till 7 p.m. More than 32.40 lakh vaccine doses administered, and especially in the age group of 18 to 44, the great news is that almost 10.75 crore vaccine doses were administered. So those are great numbers. The government is quite keen that by the end of the year, all the people who are supposed to get all eligible people who are supposed to get the vaccine, they get the vaccine, and that is the only way to stop this menace of COVID virus. And the government, union government, is working quite judiciously to make this happen.
Okay, so vaccination is the only way forward, but one also needs to look at this particular menace, especially when it comes to tourism migration that's taking place at many locales. I think, vacations can wait, the virus won't. So one needs to be careful, and one needs to follow some COVID-19 protocols in place, especially if it's a necessity that you have to go to these places. Well, staying with that particular story, thank you, Tapas, and appreciate you joining us, giving us those insights there. Staying with that story on COVID and the protocols in place, let's now dip south to Kerala, the southern state of Kerala, which has decided to open hotels and homestays in tourist spots across the state, but limiting the entry of those vaccinated or carrying RT-PCR negative certificates. This will be subject to the SOPs and instructions issued by the Union Health and Tourism Ministries. A COVID review meeting chaired by the Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan also decided to permit to reopen indoor stadiums and gymnasiums with entry restricted to 20 persons at a time. It decided to revise the classification of local bodies on the basis of the test positivity rate, or TPRs. As per the new classification, local bodies with TPR below 5% have been included in category A, those between 5 and 10% in category B, between 10 and 15% in C category, and local bodies where TPR is above 15% has been included or kept in category D. Hotels and restaurants which fall under A and B categories can function till 9:30 p.m. in the night, where takeaways and home deliveries will also be allowed. The meeting recommended focused intervention in the tribal areas of Kasaragod district, where COVID cases are on the rise.
In a big success from Jammu and Kashmir, one of the oldest and top commanders of Hizbul Mujahideen terror outfit, Mehrazuddin Halwai alias Ubaid, was neutralized in Handwara encounter. He was involved in several terror crimes. The encounter began late night at Pazipura Renan area of Karalgund in Handwara district. Police, army and CRPF have cordoned off the area. Further details are awaited. Salman Qazi is joining us to get us more on that. Salman, get us more on this encounter. We tell our viewers that Mehrazuddin Halwai has been neutralized in this encounter. Spell out more details.
He's one of the oldest militants, according to the police, in the North Kashmir, and police. He was the contemporary of the Burhan Wani, and had been one of the most instrumental persons in allowing the militants to operate in North Kashmir. So definitely it's a huge success for security forces, as someone who has been active for so long is able to develop a lot of logistical and also support, and which allows militant groups to have huge ability to operate in that area. So it will be a huge setback for militants, and it's a huge success for security forces. As Mehrazuddin Halwai, he was one of the oldest militants operating in North Kashmir, and he has been killed today.
All right, Salman, thank you for joining in with those inputs.
Well, moving on now to the next story, especially when it comes to Bihar, where heavy rainfall and inflow of water from Nepal continues to cause destruction across northern Bihar. Several rivers, including Gandak, Budhi Gandak and Bagmati, and their tributaries are flowing above the danger mark at many places in Champaran and its adjoining areas. Shikana River is affecting locals living in Sugauli and Banjaria block villages of East Champaran. The roads and rail traffic have also been disrupted in Muzaffarpur and Samastipur. Train operations on the Kaparpura Narkatiya-Ganj rail section continues to remain a complete standstill for the third day today due to waterlogging on the river on the bridge numbers 248 between Sugauli and Majalia stations and Samastipur railway division of the East Central Railway. The low-lying population has been affected in North Bihar and Simanchal, including Katihar, Purnia and Kishanganj. Many villages are facing the threat of erosion due to heavy flow of rivers. However, the water level of River Ganga is still below the danger mark. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar made an aerial survey of the flood-affected 5 districts of East Champaran, West Champaran, Sitamarhi and Shiohar. Later, the Chief Minister held a review meeting with officials of the Disaster Management Department and the Water Resource Department and instructed them to speed up relief and rescue operations. Nitish Kumar will also undertake aerial survey of the 3 flood-affected districts today. Well, for more on this story, we've got Salman Haider this time joining us from Patna in Bihar. Salman, good morning. Salman, give us the sense of, especially nature causing havoc there when it comes to rains affecting, Bihar there, especially the northern part of it. How has been the rescue and relief operations? Is there a stop in the, the rain that's falling so that, rescue and relief operations can be carried out on a much war footing?
Yes, very good morning, Anil. Rain has slackened in the catchment area of Gandak and Bagmati in Nepal, but the situation has further worsened in the Indian side. As you already said, situation has worsened in East Champaran, where the Gandak River is playing havoc. In Khagadia, Kosi and Bagmati rivers are flowing above the 1 meter, 1 meter above the danger mark, and the population living in the periphery of embankments are told to prepare emergency kits, that is, radio, transistor, torch, and dry ration, and so on. So that they are ready in case of emergency evacuation. And over 20,000 people have already been evacuated by the NDRF and SDRF in worst affected areas where the water has gushed and rivers are eroding the villages, the trees, the houses. Now the situation is very grim in North Bihar and Champaran areas. Yes.
Okay.
All right, Salman, thank you so much for those inputs on Bihar floods. Let's turn focus to the visit of External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankars to Russia. During this visit, the minister will meet his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov. Discussions are also expected to cover the entire range of bilateral issues, including cooperation in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic, as well as exchange of views on various regional and international issues. External Affairs Minister will also meet Deputy Prime Minister of the Russian Federation, Yuri Borisov, his counterpart for the India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission on Trade, Economic, Scientific and Technological and Cultural Cooperation. He will also have a meeting with the chairman of the State Duma Committee on International Affairs, Leonid Slutsky. Also, Dr. S. Shankars will deliver a speech on India-Russia ties in a changing world at the prestigious Primakov Institute of World Economy and International Relations, Moscow. The visit will be in continuation of the frequent high-level visits between the two sides. The Russian foreign minister had visited New Delhi in April this year. The visit will further strengthen the special and privileged strategic partnership between the two countries. Meghna is joining us to get us more on that. Meghna, we've given a broad outline of the agenda of the visit of the External Affairs Minister to Russia. You spell out more.
Yes, absolutely, Preeti. When the External Affairs Minister is on his visit to Russia, and it will be for about a 3-day visit, and he's expected to meet obviously his counterpart, the Deputy Prime Minister, and also the chairman of the State Duma Committee on International Relations. Besides that, very importantly, the address that he is going to deliver will be on India-Russia, changing ties in the changing world. So that basically will be important because it will be at the prestigious Primakov Institute of International Relations. Now, what also important is that yesterday also, External Affairs Minister had said that India is on its way to economic recovery, and it will be working as a growth engine for the global economy. So definitely this address is something to look out for. Besides that, obviously a range of bilateral issues are there to be discussed upon, be it the defense sector, the space sector. Obviously, we know that our 4 astronauts have got trained for the Gaganyaan mission in Russia. Besides that, we know about the India-Russia joint venture for the AK-203 rifles, or be it other sectors like environment conservation, like Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Vladivostok had said, especially on tiger conservation, be the Siberian tiger or the increase of tiger population in India.
Okay.
And besides that, extremely important is the connectivity thing, which is also on the Chennai-Vladivostok maritime corridor. Connectivity is definitely going to boost trade, and this will definitely be an effort to increase the the hit that the trade relations or the trade has basically taken due to the pandemic. So this will just be an attempt to refocus and reboost the entire trade relations that India and Russia definitely have.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us, Meghna, this morning. There's a paucity of time. We could have gone on with one more question there on that particular story. Well, let's shift focus now to another story, especially when it comes to responding to the media queries with regards to the demise of Father Stan Swami. Ministry of External Affairs said, and I quote, that Father Stan Swami was arrested and detained by the NIA following due process under law. Because of specific nature of charges against him, his bail applications were rejected by the courts. Authorities in India act against violation of laws and not against legitimate exercise of rights. All such actions are strictly in accordance with the law. In view of Father Stan Swami's ailing health, the Bombay High Court had allowed his medical treatment at a private hospital where he was receiving all possible medical attention since May 28th. His health and medical treatment was being closely monitored by the courts. He passed away on July 5th following medical complications. India's democratic and constitutional polity is complemented by an independent judiciary, a range of national and state-level human rights commissions that monitor violations, a free media and a vibrant and vocal civil society. India remains committed to promotion and protection of human rights of all its citizens.
Let's get to international updates in our segment Across the Globe. We begin by taking a quick look at the COVID-19 numbers from across the world. More than 18 crore 53 lakh people have been infected with the virus so far. The recoveries have crossed 16 crore 96 lakh mark. The disease has claimed over 40 lakh lives globally. The US has been the worst affected country with more than 3 crore 46 lakh total infections. The country's fatalities stand at more than 6 lakh 21,000 from the pandemic.
In UK, people who have been fully vaccinated and children will from August 16 no longer have to self-isolate after close contact with someone who tests positive for COVID-19. British Health Minister Sajid Javid said that the success of the vaccine program meant it was possible to go further in easing self-isolation rules for those who have received both jabs. Only those contacts who themselves test positive will be required to self-isolate. Javid said that by the time restrictions are lifted on July 19th, there could be 50,000 COVID-19 cases a day, double the current rates, and that cases could go as high as 1 lakh per day. Over 64% of the population have now had both vaccine doses in the country.
From the 16th of August, when even more people will have the protection of both doses, and when modelling suggests the risks from the virus will be even lower, anyone who's a close contact of a positive case will no longer have to self-isolate if they have been fully vaccinated. If someone gets their second dose just before or just after the 16th of August, they'll need to wait 2 weeks, after which their second jab can take effect and give them these new freedoms. And of course, anyone that tests positive will have to self-isolate whether they have had the jab or not.
Well, moving on, along with this, the British Education Minister Gavin Williamson confirmed that schools and colleges in England will end the policy of forming students' bubbles as the government continues to roll back on its COVID-19 restrictions. From August 16th, school children will no longer be required to self-isolate following close contact with someone who tests positive for coronavirus. Gavin Williamson also confirmed that face coverings and social distancing will no longer be required in schools when England enters the next stage of its lockdown easing.
I do not think that it is acceptable that children should face greater restrictions over and above those of wider society, especially since they have given up so much to keep older generations safe during this pandemic. I'm pleased to tell members across the House that key restrictions on education and childcare will come to an end. We recognise that the system of bubbles and isolation is causing disruption to many children's education. That is why we'll be ending bubbles and transferring contact tracing to the NHS test and trace system for early years settings, schools and colleges.
US President Joe Biden on Tuesday called for a renewed urgency to get more Americans vaccinated against COVID-19 as a variant of the virus is contributing to cases that surge in parts of the US. The US President is doubling down on efforts to get more Americans vaccinated despite missing his self-imposed 4th of July deadline of having 70% of the American adults vaccinated with at least one dose and 160 million people fully vaccinated.
If you're vaccinated, you're protected. But if you're unvaccinated, you're not. And you're putting yourself, more importantly maybe from your perspective, your family and your friends at risk. So please get vaccinated now. It works, it's free, and it's never been easier, and it's never been more important. Best thing you can do to protect yourself and your family and the people you care about the most is get vaccinated. The best things community can do to protect themselves is to increase vaccination rates. You can do this. You can do this. Let's finish the job. Finish it together. Do it now. For yourself and the people you care about. For your neighborhood. For your country. It sounds corny, but it's a patriotic thing to do.
Well, in some other international updates, the withdrawal of US forces from Afghanistan is more than 90% completed. The Pentagon Central Command on Tuesday said it had officially handed over 7 former US bases to the Afghan security forces. Pentagon further said it had evacuated the equivalent of nearly 1,000 C-17 air fighter loads of equivalent from the country ahead of the September deadline to complete the pullout. Tuesday's announcement underscores that most of the process of withdrawing US military and civilian personnel ordered by President Joe Biden in April has been completed. Earlier on the 2nd of this month, US forces handed over the sprawling Bagram Air Base north of Kabul, the main center of US military operations in the country for most of the past 2 decades of conflict. While Joe Biden has set a deadline of September the 20th anniversary of the Afghan-based Al-Qaeda attack on the United States that sparked the American invasion of the country. The Pentagon has moved quickly to reduce its presence to a minimum this month.
The United States on Tuesday called Iran's decision to produce uranium metal enriched to 20% purity an unfortunate step backwards. However, the US said that the window for diplomacy to allow both to resume compliance with the 2015 nuclear deal remained open. US State Department spokesperson Ned Price said that it's another unfortunate step backwards for Iran. All right, time now to get our next segment, Web Review. Our correspondent joins us every morning. Let's hear from him.
Well, Web News Review, we've got our colleague Abhishek standing by. Abhishek, good morning. Over to you.
Very good morning, Anil and Preeti. And the first story in the Web News Review segment we have taken from Mint, which says children develop significant fear of COVID, suffering with anxiety and depression. This is according to the J.E.E study. And children as young as 2 years of age are aware of the changes around them and are affected by COVID-19. So we are trying to protect the children from the virus, but this is one of the side effects of the COVID-19 also. And I have data to share. 15 studies from 10 countries describing 22,996 adolescents and children fulfill the eligibility criteria from a total of 219 records, and overall 34.5%, 41.7%, 42.3% and 30.8% of children were found to be suffering from the anxiety, depression, irritability and inattention. So like I said earlier, this is one of the side effects of the COVID-19 affecting children also. And moving on to our next story, which is India's first FASTag-based parking facility, which has been launched in Delhi's Kashmiri Gate metro station. And I'll quickly tell about the story. This cashless parking facility is located at gate number 6 of the metro station, which can accommodate around 55 four-wheelers and 174 two-wheelers, and people who are carrying the FASTag can only avail the parking facility. Four-wheelers I'm talking about, and people who have two-wheelers, they will have to swipe their metro card to avail this facility, and no cash, physical cash can be given at this metro station. Moving on to our next story, which says DU receives 1,324 overseas applications for the next session, which is 2021 and 2022, and it has received a total of 1,324 overseas applications, and it includes 320 applications from Afghanistan and also from the rest of the countries, 156 from Tibet, 10 from Vietnam, 7 from Thailand, 5 from Sri Lanka, and other applications have also been received from China, Bhutan, Cambodia, Indonesia, Iraq, Japan and Jordan, among other countries. And talking about our next story, which is our last story also, this is from Sports, which says that England, they have announced 9 uncapped players in a series against Pakistan. We all know because of the COVID, 7 players were tested positive for COVID-19 in the England squad, which was led by Owen Morgan. But the entire squad, Anil and Preeti, it has been changed because of the COVID-19. 4 players and 3 support staff, they have been tested positive. And now the team will be led by Ben Stokes, and 9 uncapped players will play against Pakistan. The series will start from 8, that is tomorrow, and definitely Pakistan holds an upper edge now. And also there were talks that why Alex Hales has not been included in the squad, and Michael Vaughan went on to say that if he is not included in this time around, then he might never play for England in future. Well, that's all we have in the Web News Review segment. Back to you, Anil and Preeti.
All right, Abhishek, thank you so much for joining us with that crisp web review. Up next, we take a look at all the sports updates in our segment Sports Track.
Well, Italy have reached the final of a European Championship with a 4-2 win over Spain on penalties in the first Euro 2020 semi-finals. Jorginho scored the winning penalty while Alvaro Morata missed Spain's third penalty kick that proved to be costly in the end. Jorginho's sport kick seals the progress for Italy, who have now not been beaten in their last 33 games. Italy will take on the winner of the second semi-final between England and Denmark, which takes place later tonight. After a cagey first half, Italy struck on the hour when a fast-paced break began with goalkeeper Donnarumma ended with the ball falling for Federico Chiesa, who cut in from the left and curled in a superb finish to put Italy ahead. Spain levelled 10 minutes from time when Alvaro Morata dropped from the starting team after a run of poor finishing displays, played a clever 1-2 with Dani Olmo to open up the Italian defence and calmly slotted home to take his team into extra time for the third successive game. Italy were not always on top in this game, though with Spain the better side for long spells of an epic contest before Chisa's goal in the match watched by a crowd of almost 58,000 people. For Spain, the failure to find a winner meant penalties again for a side that beat Switzerland in the shootout in the quarterfinals. They had also beaten Italy on penalties at Euro 2008. Belotti, Bonucci, Badinski and Jorginho converted for Italy in the penalty shootout. For Spain, Gerard Moreno and Thiago converted, while Dani Olmo and Morata missed. The two missed spot kicks saw Spain give up the advantage they had been handed when Manuel Locatelli failed with the first kick in the shootout. The Italians celebrated at the end with a large contingent of their UK-based supporters and a team that has been rejuvenated under manager Roberto Mancini as they continue to dream of winning a first European Championship title since 1968. It is 9 years since Spain mauled Italy 4-0 in the Euro 2012 final in Kyiv to win a third consecutive major tournament, and this was the fourth consecutive European Championship in which these powerhouses had met. Now unbeaten in 33 games, Italy go to the final to face either England or Denmark, who will meet on Wednesday night in the second semi-final. For now, Italians can celebrate and enjoy this memorable win. Sports Desk, DD India.
And now tennis in the third Grand Slam of the year. Polish 14th seed Hubert Hurkacz will meet 8-time champion Roger Federer in the quarterfinals at Wimbledon after overcoming world number 2 Daniil Medvedev in 5 sets. Hurkacz won 2-6, 7-6, 3-6, 6-3, 6-3 after the pair returned to finish their match suspended because of rain on Monday under the centre court roof. The 24-year-old will face Swiss 6th seed Federer today. It is a first Grand Slam quarter-final appearance for Hurkacz, whose previous best showing came at Wimbledon when he reached the third round in 2019. Also in women's singles, world number 1 Ashley Barty defeated compatriot Ajla Tomaljanovic for 6-1, 6-3 to reach the Wimbledon semi-finals for the first time. Barty won the 2019 French Open, but she had been to the quarterfinals at the All England Club. Indeed, this was the first time in the Open era that the tournament had 6 first-time women's quarterfinalists. Also, former champion Angelique Kerber reached the Wimbledon semi-finals for the 4th time with a 6-2, 6-3 win over Karolina Muchova of the Czech Republic. The German, world number 28, earlier won the title in 2018.
Second seed Arya Sabalenka proved too powerful for Tunisian Ons Jabeur as she stormed into the Wimbledon semi-finals with a 6-4, 6-3 victory under the centre court roof. The 23-year-old Belarusian, playing in a first Grand Slam quarter-final, played aggressively throughout to keep 21st seed Jabeur on the back foot. Karolina Pliskova reached her first Wimbledon semi-final with a 6-2, 6-2 win over Switzerland's Victoria Golubic. Former world number 1 Pliskova, now ranked 13th, will face Belarusian second seed Arya Sabalenka for a place in Saturday's final. Well, after a look at the sports stories, it's time now to get you a quick update on the weather conditions.
added to widespread rainfall with isolated heavy falls are likely over central India, that is Madhya Pradesh, Vidarbha, Chhattisgarh from 8th of July. And also isolated heavy rainfall is likely over Vidarbha, Madhya Pradesh and East Madhya Pradesh also. And due to strengthening of southwest monsoon over Arabian Sea, enhanced rainfall activity is likely over Konkan and Goa, coastal Karnataka and Kerala and Mahe, and also the northeastern India. Now we take a look at the temperatures across major cities in the country. All right, that's it in this edition of Breakfast News this morning. But before we go, we all know, and we told you earlier also in the bulletin, that veteran actor Dilipkumar breathed his last today. And as a tribute to him, we leave you with his songs and some famous dialogues. Bye-bye.
प्रेम का छुट्टी है पटाखा तो धमक होई बेकरी नैन तड़प तड़प कह रहा है आबिदा तू हमसे आँख ना चुरा तुझे कसम है आबिदा दो सितारों का ज़मीं पर है मिलन आज की रात दो सितारों का ज़मीं पर है मिलन आज की रात मुस्कुराता है उम्मीदों का चमन